Module 1, Defining Clear Objectives.
Picture this. Bluebonnet Community College's board is debating whether to expand the college's healthcare programs. The discussion goes in circles. Trustees cite different priorities, but no clear direction emerges. Sound familiar? In this learning module, we'll explore how setting clear objectives can transform these unwieldy discussions into focused, data-informed decisions that move your college forward.
Let's get started by reviewing this module's learning objectives, or as we like to call them, trustee takeaways. This module will help you understand why clear objectives matter for data-informed governance. Identify characteristics of effective objectives. Clarify how you work in partnership with the CEO to set objectives. Evaluate an objective's alignment with your college's strategic plan. We will do this by focusing on the why. Why clear objectives matter. The what. What are the characteristics of a clear and effective objective? And the how. The collaborative process by which objectives are developed and approved. We will then turn our attention back to Bluebonnet Community College and their board's pending decision about the future of its healthcare programs. Clear objectives serve as the foundation for everything that follows in data-informed governance.
Think of objectives as your North Star. They guide every subsequent decision about what data to collect, how to interpret findings, and where to invest resources. When trustees set clear objectives, they enable their CEO and staff to focus efforts on what matters most for student success. With the Texas Community College state funding formula now driven primarily by student outcomes rather than enrollment alone, setting clear objectives has never been more important. Without them, you cannot effectively measure progress, strategically allocate resources, or demonstrate the value your college provides to students and the community.
So what makes an objective truly effective? You're likely familiar with SMART criteria. For board-level objectives, 3 elements are critical: specific, measurable, and time-bound. Objectives need to be specific enough so that everyone understands exactly what you're trying to achieve. They must also be measurable. If you can't track progress with actual numbers, how will you know if the direction you're taking is the right one or when you need to change course? And objectives need deadlines. Time boundaries instill a sense of urgency for change. Now that we've covered 3 important characteristics of clear objectives, there's one more thing that needs to be addressed. Making sure the objectives you set are aligned with your governance role. Board objectives should focus on policy and strategic direction, not operations. This distinction between governance and operational focus is where many boards struggle. So let's take a moment to explore what this means in practice. An example of an operational objective is hire 3 additional nursing faculty members by next semester. A strategic board objective, in contrast, would be increase completion rates for first-time students earning credentials of value by 15% within 3 years. The operational objective describes a specific action within management's purview. The strategic objective focuses on outcomes and leaves implementation to the CEO and their team. As trustees, you set the destination, not the route. Setting objectives is a collaborative process. The role of a trustee is to work in partnership with the CEO to establish objectives that address the college's priorities as laid out in its strategic plan and community needs, ensuring alignment through ongoing dialogue and feedback. Your unique perspective as an engaged and active member of the community your college serves helps to ensure objectives address real needs. You bring knowledge of local employers, economic trends, and community priorities that inform strategic direction. This context and expertise, the importance of which we explore in Module 5, ensures objectives address real needs rather than abstract goals.
Let's see how this collaborative approach works in practice by returning to the conversation at Bluebonnet Community College. Last we checked in on Bluebonnet's trustees, they were stuck debating whether to expand the college's healthcare programs. Some trustees worried about the high personnel costs, others pointed to community demand, and still others questioned whether they had adequate facilities. The conversation went nowhere because they lacked a clear framework for making decisions. After learning about the Data-Informed Governance Framework, DIG framework for short, the board decided to take a step back. They first reviewed the college's strategic plan, which included a priority focused on expanding career pathways that meet regional workforce needs. Then they looked at the last 3 years of completion data, regional workforce projections, and student feedback. After a productive conversation about what it all means, Bluebonnet's board drafted the following objective: increase the number of students who complete credentials of value in healthcare by 20% within 3 years. But before finalizing the objective, they asked themselves 3 questions. Does it support our strategic priorities? Does it address community needs? Can we measure progress? The answer to all 3 was yes. Bluebonnet's board adopted the new objective. With this clear direction established, subsequent decisions were much more straightforward. Rather than revisiting the same concerns, future conversations focused on what it would take to meet this objective. Trustees began evaluating current and future budgets, exploring cost-benefit trade-offs, and considering how one-time investments, like equipment, could accelerate program growth and yield long-term gains under the state's outcomes-based funding model. The result? Board meetings that once felt scattered now center around a shared purpose. The new objective guides what data to collect, how to allocate resources, and which policy decisions to prioritize. Bluebonnet's transformation shows how a well-defined objective can turn uncertainty into clarity. More importantly, it shifts board meetings from circular debates into focused discussions about progress toward a shared goal.
Clear objectives transform governance from reactive to strategic. They provide the foundation for data-informed decision-making and ensure your college's efforts align with student and community needs. In our next module, we'll explore how objectives guide the identification of specific data needs. Take time before then to reflect on your own experiences as a trustee, review your board's current objectives, and consider the discussion guide questions.